There's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I really believe this is one of those truths that can change the way a person performs, lives, competes, heals, and even relates to themselves. It's this: if you need the win, you lose the joy. And I want to start there because I think a lot of people do not realize how many areas of life they have turned into something they need to win. Not just sports, not just business, not just obvious competition. I mean, life, right? They need to win the day. They win the conversation, win the schedule, win the argument, win the image, win the body battle, win the comparison, win the approval, win the outcome, win the role, win the attention, win the moment. And the problem is when a person starts needing the outcome too much, they stop enjoying the experience itself. And that's a huge light bulb moment because most people think the issue is that they have not won enough, not enough success, not enough achievement, not enough proof, not enough recognition, not enough visible results, not enough evidence that they matter, that they are enough, that they are ahead, that they are safe, that they are doing well. But often the deeper issue is not that they need more wins, it's that they have made the win responsible for too much identity, too much worth, too much emotional stability, too much relief, too much validation, too much now I can finally feel okay. And once that happens, the whole thing gets heavy. The game gets heavy, the work gets heavy, the business gets heavy, the body journey gets heavy, the relationship gets heavy, the round gets heavy, the role gets heavy, the day gets heavy. Because the moment you no longer, just in the moment, now it's carrying identity weight. That is why joy starts disappearing because joy does not live very well in places where everything has become a test. And I think this is one of the deepest reasons so many people are exhausted. Just, not just because life is hard, but because they are constantly scoring it, scoring themselves, scoring the day, scoring the interaction, scoring the body, scoring the performance, scoring whether they are ahead or behind, scoring whether they are enough or not enough, scoring whether they came out on top. And when that becomes the inner posture, a person loses contact with themselves. They lose contact with freedom. They lose contact with enjoyment. They lose contact with gratitude. They lose contact with the part of them that knows how simply being in the experience rather than constantly measuring it matters. Because a lot of people think they are just ambitious. They think they are just driven. They think they are just competitive. They think they are just, that they have high standards. They think they just want excellence. And sometimes that is true. But many times underneath all of that, something deeper is happening. They're not just trying to win, they're trying to prove they matter, prove they are enough, prove they are ahead, prove they are not weak, prove they are not failing, prove they are not that they are special, that they are safe, prove they are significant, prove they deserve to feel okay. And that changes everything because now the game is not just the game, the score is not just the score, the day is not just the day, the body is not just the body, the result is not just the result. Now everything is loaded. Now, everything carries emotional survival weight. And the moment the outcome becomes emotional survival, freedom disappears. And that's why this week is so powerful because it points to a truth, but people feel it, but they often have never put it into words. The more you need the outcome to prove something, the less you are able to enjoy any outcome at all. That is painful, but it is real. Because if you lose, it hurts too much. And if you win, it often still does not satisfy for very long. You know why? Because if the win was supposed to fix your relationship with yourself, it was always carrying too much. That is one reason success can feel so empty for so many people. They get the thing, they hit the number, they lose the weight, they win the match, they get the recognition, they break the targets, they shoot the score, they close the deal, they hit the goal, and for a moment there's relief, but not real peace, not real joy, not real fulfillment, because the problem was never just the lack of the result. The problem was that what they had asked the result to do for them emotionally. And no outer result does that very well for very long. That is why some people cannot even enjoy winning. They expected it, needed it, built their nervous system around it, and now that it happened, there's no room to really receive it. There's only finally what's next. Don't lose this. Do it again. Prove it again. Stay ahead. Don't fall behind. That is not freedom. That is emotional captivity. And I think this shows up in so many ways. It shows up in high achievers who cannot enjoy success because the bar keeps moving. It shows up in athletes who get tight because they need the result to confirm who they are. It shows up in golfers and shooters who start forcing because missing feels like something personal. It shows up in people trying to lose weight who turn every day into good day, bad day, win, lose, on track, off track, worthy, not worthy. It shows up in everyday life when somebody has to be right in the conversation, admired in the room, productive enough in the day, validated enough online, ahead enough in life. That is not just about obvious competition. This is about the deeper contest people are carrying inside. And I think one of the saddest things is how much joy gets lost because of this. People miss the meal because they're grading themselves. They miss the round because they are chasing the score emotionally. They miss the relationship because they're trying to win the dynamic. They miss the day because they are trying to conquer it. They miss the experience because they are measuring instead of living. And that is what I think a lot of people need to wake up to, because life is not meant to be lived only on a scoreboard. And the zone definitely is not a scoreboard state. The zone is not an ego state. It is not a proving state. It is not a desperate state. It's not a I have to get this or else state. The zone is a freer state, a cleaner state, a more connected state, a more present state, a state where the conscious, fearful, proving mind loosens enough that something deeper can move. That is why so many athletes and performers describe it like they got out of their own way, because they did. They stopped carrying all of that proving, all of that identity pressure, all that, this has to go my way so I can feel okay. And suddenly there is more room for rhythm, more room for trust, more room for timing, more room for instinct, more room for flow, more room for higher self, higher power, deeper intelligence, greater consciousness, whatever language a person uses for that. That is why the need to win too much is such a problem. Not because wanting to do well is bad, but because desperation blocks connection. And when connection goes away, joy usually goes with it. So, what do we do for this? I think the first step is to become much more honest about where you have made life into a contest. Now, ask yourself, where am I no longer just participating? Where am I proving? Where am I no longer just showing up? Where am I trying to come out ahead emotionally? Where am I no longer just living? Where am I scoring? That alone can reveal a lot. And maybe it is in your work. Maybe it's in your body journey. Maybe it's in your relationship. Maybe it's in your parenting. Maybe it's in your business. Maybe it's in your sports. Maybe it's in how you handle rest. Maybe it's in how you handle being wrong. Maybe it's in how you handle not being the best. Where's life feeling too loaded? That is the question. And the second step is to notice what happens when you do not get the outcome you wanted. Do you just feel disappointed, or does it become something bigger? Does it become shame and anger and collapse and self attack and panic and overreaction? The need to fix it immediately, the feeling that something is wrong with you, the feeling that you are now less than, because that tells you how fused your identity has become with the result. And that is useful to know. And the third step is to notice whether winning actually satisfies you. This is so important. If you do get the result, what happens? Do you really enjoy it? Or do you move the goalpost, expect it, downplay it, need the next win immediately, feel relief more than joy, barely let yourself receive it before you start measuring again? Because if that is true, then this may not be about excellence, right? This may be about emotional hunger. And emotional hunger does not get solved very well by more scorekeeping. And the fourth step is to separate excellence from proving. Excellence says, I want to do this well. I want to grow. I want to honor what I'm capable of. I want to show up fully. I want to sharpen my craft. Proving says, I need this result to tell me I matter. I need this so I don't feel behind. I need this so I can feel okay. I need this so I don't have to feel weak. I need this so I can escape the feeling of not being enough. Those are not the same. And a lot of people have confused them. They think desperation is drive. They think pressure is passion. They think proving is ambition, but is not the same. And the fifth step is to ask what the need to win is costing you. Because needing to win too much is expensive. It can cost you peace and presence and gratitude and relationship quality and freedom and integrity and enjoyment and recovery, emotional stability, spiritual connection, access to the zone. That's a real cost. And sometimes people do not loosen the grip until they see how expensive the whole thing has become. And the sixth step is to practice pulling identity back out of the outcome. This is the real work. You can ask, who am I if this does not go my way? Can I still be whole if I miss? Can I still be okay if I do not win this? Can I still stay grounded if this does not prove what I wanted it to prove? That is not weakness, that is freedom. Because the freer you are from emotional grip of the result, the more available you become to joy and clarity and peace and often better performance too. So if I were to make this very practical for this week, I would say this: pick one area of life where you know you need the win too much, just one. Okay. Maybe it's the body, the schedule, the relationship, the round, the score, the business result, the appearance, the argument, the need to be admired, the need to be right. Just pick one and then ask, what do I think this result is going to give me emotionally? Worth, safety, validation, superiority, significance, proof? And then ask, what is it costing me to need it this much? And then finally, what would it feel like to want this without needing it to define me? That is a powerful question because when the emotional grip loosens, everything gets lighter. You enjoy more, you recover faster, you stay more present, you stop making every moment a referendum on who you are. You stop letting the scoreboard own your nervous system. You stop making life prove something every second, and that is where joy starts coming back. And if I were to leave you with the one thing today, it would be this: a lot of people are not just trying to do well, they are trying to feel okay through the result. And that is why the joy disappears, because once the outcome becomes responsible for your worth, your peace, your identity, your emotional safety, it stops being something you can simply experience. And now it owns you. And that is what we want to free. Because the moment you stop needing the win to feel like yourself, everything gets lighter. You enjoy more, you live more, you perform more freely, you become more present. You stop making every day a test. You stop needing every outcome to say something about your value. And that is where real peace and deeper excellence start meeting. So if this speaks to you and you are tired of living under pressure, comparison, proving, and the constant need for the outcome to tell you who you are, visit dawngrant.com. I got lots of stuff on there for you. Online course, hypnosis meditations, all ready for you. If you're ready to retrain your thoughts, habits, beliefs, patterns, check it out. dawngrant.com, because I would love to help you.